Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world. I'm DJ Unification, also known as Double Dragon 912, and today, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I got another top 10 for you guys and girls. Wow, actually, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna do a top 30. Yeah, I know that's a lot, but y'all stick with me. Today, I want to do my top 30 fighting games of all time. Wow. I did a top 30 a while back, but this is the updated version, 2026 version. And I went back through it and thought, made it a little bit different, added some games and dropped some more games. But this is my top 30. I really could have did a top 50, but I wanted to, shrink it down so this video won't be 3 and 4 hours long. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know there's fighting games. I'm a huge fighting game fan. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me stop talking. Let's get into this. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 30 has to be Dead or Alive 2. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Dead or Alive series gets a lot of flack because, it's got a lot of fan service. Shout out to God rest his soul, Ikagaki. He always used to say he wanted his women to look pretty. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm a straight man. I like pretty looking women. Kusumi, that's my girl there. That's one of my waifus. Kasumi, Lee Fang, I think that's her name. Tina, basically Hulk Hogan's daughter. Hot women in this fighting game, ladies and gentlemen. And there's the males in there. So it's an awesome fighting game. But if you could look past the fan service, you actually got a decent fighting game there. I first played this fighting game on Dreamcast, and then I fell in love with it. Then it came out on X. This was messed up the series, in my opinion. Dead or Alive 3 came out on Xbox One, then OG Xbox. Can't believe I got to say that. Then Dead or Alive 4 came out on Xbox 360. Those two should have been multi-platform. Then eventually they came back multi-platform. By the end of the franchise, people had lost interest in it. But Dead or Alive 2, ladies and gentlemen, was the first game where I saw they had a tag team back again. Check in the Rex and Let's Begin tag team mode on there. And I used to play with my two favorite characters was Kasumi Han and my boy Ryu Hayabusa. They're my favorite too. And you had Kasumi, Ryu Hayabusa from from Ninja Gaiden series. Then you had Kasumi on there looking for her brother Ian. I think that's his name. And you had Base. That's basically Hulk Hogan. They just couldn't say it. Tina. And you had a whole bunch of characters in this, ladies and gentlemen. I love this fighting game. One of my favorites. Like I said, once I got into part 2, I ended up falling in love with the series, and I ended up playing the rest of them. I would love to get a Dead or Alive collection. Tecmo, Koei Tecmo, y'all make that happen. I'm telling you. If Marvel's Capcom, Capcom could do a collection of nothing but their fighting games, y'all could do it too. I'm telling you, it'll make you some money. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 30 has to be Dead or Alive 2. Moving right along.
You lose.
いつ何時俺は誰の挑戦でも受ける
私
利用者しねえ俺が一から利用者しねえぞ
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 29 has to be Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this made this top 30 list because I recently played this one, and this game kind of grew on me, ladies and gentlemen. What I like about Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves that I can pay for the base game, and I don't have to pay for DLC. So far, of course, if you know they make a season 2, you probably have to pay for it, but so far I don't have to pay for DLC. This game came with 5 DLC characters off the bat. When you buy the game, you don't have to pay no extra for it. Pay your $60, I think maybe even cheaper than that, $40, $50 for the game, and it comes with 5 DLC characters. You get Chun-Li, Hot, Ken, my boy Ken for Street Fighter. That's your Street Fighter characters right there. Then you get Mr. Big. Then you get Joe, my boy Joe, and then you get Andy Bogart. That's 5 DLC characters off the bat. They just give them to you for free. Thank you, SNK. But that alone, it makes this list, ladies and gentlemen. It's an awesome fighting game. It's a direct sequel to Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves. Storyline continues. You got Rock Howard, Terry Bogard, and my boy Joe is back. Masahiro Nuri, although they messed up her costume, they should have made it where you can play, at least play with her old school costume, but I don't know what SNK was thinking on that. Neither here nor there, but this is an awesome fighting game, ladies and gentlemen. Pick it up. It's probably on sale right now. Pick it up, ladies and gentlemen. I highly recommend you get it. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 29 has to be Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves.
What your problem with? You're more. Okay, I'm gonna you're more. Wait. At the bottom right there.
Final round. Get ready. Fight. SP. Come on. Go.
Just getting started.
Need a hand? Gotcha. All warmed up. Wait. Kyokugen karate, huh? Might be worth a try during practice.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep this party rolling. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 28 has to be Samurai Showdown 2. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, be honest with you guys and girls, I love the Samurai Showdown games. Even the new one that they made in 2019, love them all. But if I had to pick one, I absolutely have to pick one, I have to go with Samurai Showdown 2. The reason why I picked Samurai Showdown 2, ladies and gentlemen, was it's a nostalgia moment. I ain't gonna lie to you. One of these days, I was in what was it? Elementary school or was it high school? Junior? I can't remember. We was out on spring break. You know, you get a week. Shout out to everybody with the school. You get a week spring break, and in that week, I ended up going to the arcade, Atlantis Castle, my hometown, and they had Samurai Showdown 2 on a big screen. And I was like, wow, as a little kid, seeing something like that, I was like, hype! Ladies and gentlemen, one thing about the arcade where I was from, they really, whoever was in the arcade, they always put the SNK games on big screen TVs. I never did see a Capcom game on big screen TVs. You know, you had your Street Fighter there, you had your Capcom fighting games there, but I never did see them on big screen. But when it came to big screen, putting the games on the big screen, they always put an SNK game up there. It was either Samurai Showdown. I think one time it was Art of Fighting up there one time, the first Art of Fighting. But there was some huge, whoever was over that arcade was a huge SNK fan, and that what made me basically fall in love with SNK games. And seeing Samurai Showdown 2 on the big screen, man, it's just a nostalgia moment that I always have in my life. With my boy Galford, Hanzo, Homaru, Charlotte, Hot, Nakaru, Hot, all bunch of characters in this game. It was awesome, ladies and gentlemen. It was a direct sequel to the first Samurai Showdown. If it wasn't broke, they didn't try to fix it. Loved it. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 28 has to be Samurai Showdown 2.
Go, Bobby! Go, Bobby! Go, Bobby!
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, keep the party rolling. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 27 has to be World Heroes 2. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, World Heroes 2, once again, like I said about the Samurai Showdown series, I love the World Heroes games. Actually, I have the World Heroes Anthology Collection right now on PS2. I wish, who is that? SNK would do another collection of that and put them all together on an updated disc. But yeah, I love the World Heroes games. Played the first one, the second one, and after that they did, what was it? World Heroes 1, World Heroes 2, then they did World Heroes 2 Jet, and I think they did World Heroes Perfect. There was 4 of them they made. But awesome fighting games, ladies and gentlemen. What was so unique about World Heroes was I think there was a doctor dude that was a scientist, and he was pulling all these different fighters from all over the world and all over different time periods, and y'all had to come together to save the Earth from an alien. I think some type of alien. I think I could be wrong because I ain't really got into the storyline. I used to always just play the game. I forgot about the storyline. But my favorite character on the World Heroes games was Fuma. He was a red ninja. He was a Hanzu Zuzuza. No, that's Hummer. I'm tripping. But he used to throw his ninja stars out there. Then he go to That's it. That's my boy Fuma. And his rival was Hanzo, I think. You know, he was the guy in the blue trunks, and my boy Fuma was in the red trunks. And, you know, I always pick Fuma because my favorite color was red. So that's why he got my vote. But it's an awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. Love the World Heroes games. They might have them. You might can download them on PS4 and Nintendo Switch on that ACA arcade collection. Just try to pick you up a World Heroes game. Try them out for yourself. Just take my word for it. It's awesome. I love the World Heroes games. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 27 has to be World Heroes 2.
United States. Boomer versus Joey Maximum. Round 1. Fight.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what we got here. This is kind of like a dark horse right here. I might catch a lot of flack off this, but I don't mind. Bring the smoke in the comment section. Yes! Anyways, coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 26 has to be Street Fighter 3 New Generation. Wow. Not Third Strike, but New Generation. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. New Generation, ladies and gentlemen. I first played in the arcade back home where I'm from. Coming from where I'm from. Let's stop being silly. But I love New Generation, ladies and gentlemen. They had my boy Ken Ryu on there, and they had a whole bunch of new characters on there. And I think on this one, I don't think Chun-Li and them came on this one, but they had a whole bunch of new characters. Hugo, Ibuki, hot ninja girl, Elena, hot dancing African girl, and a whole bunch of new characters on this Street Fighter game. But what made this game so good to me because they had Ken and Ryu on there. And I always liked it before Third Strike. I played Third Strike. You played Third Strike a lot on PS2 when it came out. And I think I played it because I bought it online for the PS3. But I always was the fan of the original Street Fighter 3. I had no problem with Street Fighter 3. See, the problem with what happened with Capcom during this time period, they had too many fighting games out there at the time. People couldn't really buy their fighting game because they had too many out there. At the same time, you had the Street Fighter 3 series coming out. You had X-Men vs. Street Fighter going on. Marvel Super Heroes, the Versus series. You had Rival Schools going on. There was too many freaking fighting games. And people were like, man, y'all just gave us burnout. We can't really play all these fighting games at once. Capcom should have just slowed their roll. Shut your mouth. Anyway, they just slowed their roll and just, brought them out in intervals. Instead of just every month you bringing out a fighting game. You should have waited like a year, fighting game, 2 years, fighting game. They should have slowed their roll, and they had a bad problem. It was bringing out too many fighting games. That what made this game not sell, in my opinion. if they had brought it out like, you know, a year or two apart, these games would have sold better, in my opinion. I think that they just oversaturated the market with too many fighting games, in my opinion. That's what happened. That's why I didn't sell as much. But I love Street Fighter 3 New Generation. One of my favorite fighting games of all time. Why it makes this list. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 6 has to be Street Fighter 3 New Generation.
You win. Round 2. Fight. You lose. Final round. Fight. You win.
Let's keep this party rolling. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 25 has to be Street Fighter Alpha 2. Street Fighter Alpha 2. Or Street Fighter 2. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why I like Street Fighter Alpha, don't get me wrong. The other Street Fighter Alpha games got 1, 2, and 3 in some form of collection and various consoles. Love the Street Fighter Alpha games. But I picked 2 was this the first time where old cute little sexy, she's sexy, she's a grown woman now. Sakura was first introduced. Boy, she looked good in that school uniform. But anyway, let me stop talking about my little guilty pleasures. But yeah, Sakura was first introduced. A big Ryu fan. Let's see, Sakura. You had well, you got the Saturn version. You can play as Eva Ryu. You had Shinakuma, Chun. You played with this first time. You played with Chun-Li with her original outfit on there. See, that's all you had to do, SNK. Just put My Sierra News original outfit on Faded Furious Center of the Wars. Anyway, my bad. We talking about Street Fighter Alpha 2 right now. Street Fighter Alpha 2 was amazing. Kuma, Bison back, his crazy self. Dan was in this one. He was a cheap character in the first one. You got Sodom. All your favorite Street Fighter characters are back. I think Cammy didn't come to Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold. But you had Guy in here, whole bunch of Capcom characters, ladies and gentlemen. I love this Street Fighter Alpha game. Love all 3 of them, but this would have to pick one to be Street Fighter Alpha 2. This is where you had the a little system where you can do custom combos and all type of stuff. That was so tight about this game. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 25 has to be Street Fighter Alpha 2.
K.O. You win. Round 1, fight!
Hadouken!
Round 2, fight!
Let's keep it rolling, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 24 has to be Soul Calibur 2. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Soul Calibur 2 was a very unique game. I think this was one of the first, correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section, one of the first games where each console for this game had a different character. The PlayStation 2 version got Garbage Hashi, worst guest character ever, in my opinion. The Xbox, OG Xbox version, can't believe I say OG Xbox. OG Xbox version got Spawn, awesome character. And then one of the best guest characters they had was the GameCube version had Link from Zelda. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. So it depends on which game you got, that was special guest character you got. And that was the first time I ever seen that in a fighting game. It was amazing, ladies and gentlemen. I always had the PS2 version because I was a PS2 guy back in the day. And I didn't have a GameCube or OG Xbox. I think my youngest brother had an Xbox, and he used to play with Spawn a lot. I used to go in his room and play with Spawn though. Spawn was a tight looking character. All these characters are off the chain, ladies and gentlemen. You won't go wrong with either version, but you know, probably if I had to pick one, even though I'm not a big Zelda fan, I probably would go with the GameCube version because you got Link. Link is a very unique character, and that was tight, ladies and gentlemen. Each system got a different character to the system, and that was very unique. And it was, to me, in my opinion, I think it's the truth. No other game out there that ever did that, and that was off the chain. It was direct sequel to Soul Calibur 1, which came out on Dreamcast, and yeah, love the game. That's why it makes number 24 on this list. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 24 has to be Soul Calibur 2. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 23 has to be KOF. Stop playing. KOF 14. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, y'all probably wondering, Double Dragon, why you ain't pick 15? Don't get me wrong. KOF 15 is off the chain. Love it. But I like 14 even better, ladies and gentlemen. 14 was, this game had like a very significant impact in SNK history because after KOF 13, you know, SNK was going bankrupt. And we thought we'd never see another King of the Fighter game again, but I think SNK ended up getting picked up by some crazy company. I don't know who it was, but they came back on scene with a vengeance with that song that made you hype. Whoa, say stop. Y'all know I can't sing it, but ladies and gentlemen, KOF came back and people kept hating on the art style. I couldn't stand that junk. But besides that, you got 48 characters off the bat that you can play with, and then you had 2 secret characters. Then you had some DLC characters you can buy. All awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. My boy Joe, Terry Bogard in the game. Blue Mary, you know, she was a DLC character actually. Had the Art of Fighting team coming back. They still didn't have them right on there. I don't know why they do Art of Fighting team like they do. They messed up. But who else they had on there? Some new characters on there too, ladies. Some of everybody was on KOF universe. That's why I like KOF so much, because it's a dream fighting game, ladies and gentlemen. It's got all your favorite SNK fighters all plumped up and packed into one game. And you can't go wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, talking about KOF 14 gets me hype. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 23 has to be KOF 14.
You're too strong. You win.
余裕っち。
すぐ楽にしてやる。Round 3. Ready? Go!
負けても次があるんだから、それに向けて努力しよう。
Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 22 has to be Tekken 3. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Tekken 3 makes this list because this was like basically showed you what the PlayStation hardware was made of. You know, everybody was talking about, I remember they were bragging, a lot of people were bragging, Saturn fans bragging, man, ain't nothing on PlayStation look as good as Virtua Fighter, blah, 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 blah. I said, alright, we'll see. Next thing you know, shout out to Harada. Harada, you know, he just left the industry. He said he's not doing Tekken no more, which is unfortunate. We appreciate you, Harada. You made some great fighting games. All your Tekken games are amazing. You did a great job. Let's give Harada a round of applause just for being Harada and all the awesome Tekken games he made. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. But that being said, let me get to the point. Tekken 3, ladies and gentlemen, was Tekken was basically an answer to Virtua Fighter. I think some of these cats used to work for Sega. They left Sega and said they would, especially Harada said, man, we need to make a game that looks as good as Virtua Fighter. It could be our Virtua Fighter. And so they were like, all right, let's go with Tekken. So they made the first Tekken. You know, it wasn't as good as Virtua Fighter, but it caught on. Then they made Tekken 2. Then they made Tekken 3. And Tekken 3 to this day still looks amazing, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people even talking about, man, this PlayStation 1 graphics. They're like, yep, it still looks good. Say, yeah, man, this game looks good. Say, not even some of these newer games don't look as good as that. That's true. Best 3D fighter, one of the best 3D fighting games of all time. Tekken 3 had not Martial Law, but Forest Law. Jin Kazama came on the scene. Got rid of Kazuya. It was messed up. Let's see who else was on the scene. Hwang, Lin Zhao Yu. These are some new characters right there. Then like on the PS1 version, which was exclusive, you could get Gong from Gong was exclusive PS1 character, and Dr. Boskanovich, Elisa's daddy, my waifu. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, awesome game. I can't say much more about Tekken 3. Me talking about it is cheaper than it. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 22 has to be Tekken 3. Let's keep moving. Moving right along. Moving right along.
You win. Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight. You win.
Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 21 has to be Tekken Tag Tournament. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I first played Tekken Tag Tournament. I may be wrong on this one. I think I either played it first on the PS2 or I might have played it first in the arcades. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great looking game, ladies and gentlemen. Tekken Tag Tournament has that tag team back again. Check in the Rex and let's begin. Wow, ladies and This was the first game where Bandai Namco said, Namco at the time said, yeah, we're going to put all our characters together and just throw it into a fighting game. And apparently this storyline Tekken Tag Tournament is, I think it's somebody's dream. This first time you can play with Kazuya and Jin on the same team, June and Jin on the same team, June and Kazuya on the same team. You had Unknown as the last boss. All your favorite Tekken fighting game characters packed into one game. Man, you can't go wrong with it. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to look at it, get the best looking version of it. I'm not a graphics head, but you want to get the best looking version of it. I advise you to get a PS3 and go get Tekken, the Tekken Hybrid game. It comes with a Tekken Tag Tournament HD version on there. And it looks amazing, ladies and gentlemen. That's probably what you see in the background. It's an awesome game. Love Tekken Tag Tournament. Still can go back to this day and play Tekken Tag Tournament. Although I do play Tekken Tag Tournament. They made a second one, but I seem to like the 10. Go to the first one more so than the second. Awesome game, ladies, and that's why it makes number 21 on this list. So coming in, ladies, number 21 has to be Tekken Tag Tournament. Let's keep moving.
Round 1, fight. You win. Round 2, fight.
Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 20 has to be Marvel versus Capcom. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Marvel vs. Capcom, y'all know I'm a huge fan of the Versus series. This was the first game where they had a third person that can come in there. Although they didn't come in there that much, but they only gave you so many times you use. Like, say if you had your third character was Sentinel, he can come in there 3 times to help assist out. Then you had Psylocke, she can come in there 5 times. I think Colossus can come in there 3 times, but each time a character, they had a specific number at the bottom there that how many times you press them to come in there. So that was the first inklings of a 3-on-3 fighter, but it's still 2-on-2, but just had a third tag team characters back again. Check in the Red Sand Let's Begin that came in and helped you out, assist partner. And it was an awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. Wolverine, I think Ryu on here, but he, for some reason, Ryu can turn into Akuma and turn into Ken. That's how it was on this game. I guess they didn't want to do a palette swap, basically. And you had the guest character, secret character, Shadow Lady. She was on here. Orange Hulk. I think either red Venom, different type of colored Venoms, and War Machine was on here, and Gold War Machine had different secret characters on here. Awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome game. I highly recommend you pick this game up. I would say you couldn't get it nowhere, but now shout out to Capcom. If you go get the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, you can play Marvel vs. Capcom with the online play. Awesome collection to have. Highly recommend you play this game and pick it up. I highly recommend. Loved it. Loved it. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 20 has to be Marvel vs. Capcom.
Let's go.
Ready. Fight! Marvelous! Wolverine, win!
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 19 has to be Guilty Gear Xrd. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, this is Guilty Gear. I love all the Guilty Gears, don't get me wrong. I'm a little torn off on Strive. I hate how they did my boy Chip, but that's another story for another time. Guilty Gear Xrd, man, was one of the Guilty Gears I really got into and really started playing online. I was playing with May, and May is bad on that game. The big dog, big dolphin attack, big down. Yeah, I used to play with May, you know, my favorite, Chip Zano. And I know somebody was telling me about Strider, like, yeah, Chip ain't fast, he used to be, but he's strong. I was like, I play with Chip. He just ain't himself. I'm used to him being fast. Him being fast, he may not get off that much damage, but you do enough damage with Chip, you know, he'll make up for it. Cause he's so fast. I love my boy Chip. That's my boy. He's my favorite character. Then they went there and tore him up on Stride. That's probably why I bought Stride yet. Cause I don't like how they did Chip. And what was so tight about Guilty Gear Xrd was they had like a story mode where pretty much like a whole anime cutscene. It's about an hour, 2 hours. You can watch the whole story of Guilty Gear. Pretty much like an anime. I was probably they made an anime out of Guilty Gear. They might have had, but it's pretty much screaming anime. But that game is off the chain, boy. Chip Zanoff, Kai Kisuke, Soul Bad Guy for you Soul Bad Guy fans. May, Johnny, his crazy self. You know, a lot of people like Johnny. I could keep going. Y'all know all the characters on Guilty Gear Xrd. Don't get me wrong, Revelator and Revelator 2 was pretty good, but they had nothing on Guilty Gear Xrd. Because Xrd was the first one I played on PS4. And they also had, what was it? English voice acting on Xrd. But the rest of them they didn't. They just made it Japanese. But they really went in on Xrd. Arc System Works really went in on Guilty Gear Xrd. The graphics look smooth. I ain't no graphics there. Y'all know I ain't. The graphics look so real and vibrant. Man, just an overall great fighting game. Tipkin. Man, I have a lot of memories on Guilty Gear Xrd. I wish they would redo Guilty Gear Xrd instead of Strive, but yeah, you know, they had to do something. I get it. They switched it up. Teachers on. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 19, I think we're on 19, is Guilty Gear Xrd.
2 or 3, all or nothing.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, let's keep this party rolling. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 18 has to be, what we got? I'm tripping. Killer Instinct. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Killer Instinct I first played in the arcades. Used to play the crap out of Killer Instinct. One of my favorite characters on there was Orchid. Hot! Orchid, Jago, and who else I used to play with? Saber Wolf. And this is one of my favorite fighting games of all time, ladies. I first played this on arcade, then we ended up getting a Super Nintendo version. I bought that. Shout out to my two youngest brothers, my two twin brothers. They hooked me up with that for my birthday. Love y'all. Big brother, love y'all. Appreciate y'all for doing that. And it came, what was so tight with the Super Nintendo version, it came with an awesome soundtrack called Killer Cuts. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Killer! Yeah. Man, that soundtrack was so tight. Boy, listening to that soundtrack right now, me talking about it gets me so hype! But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Killer Instinct, awesome. First game I ever seen where you had like stress combos. Don't get me wrong, all the other fighting games that came before it has combo systems, but not as in depth as these combo systems. I mean, I used to play with Orchid, her fine self. We used to do that 22 hit combo, killer combo. And then what made this game stand out was when you actually hit this ultra combo. Boy, he used to get you hype, boy, talking about ultra combo. But you know, on the Super Nintendo version, you know, they had to cut it down because it couldn't handle it. They used to do ultra. Shout out to my Super Nintendo players that had Killer Instinct. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 18 has to be Killer Instinct. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be like, kind of like a dark horse. Y'all going to be like, really, Double Dragon? Yeah, really. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 17 has to be Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this game came out on the PS3 and then later the sequel to it came out on the PS4. And ladies and gentlemen, this is one of what they call literally an anime fight. This game has nothing but anime characters in it. Except with the exception of the virtual fighter characters, because you had Akira and old girl Pi, I think that was her name. correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section. But you had your boy Kirito, his wife Asuna. You had Tiger from what's the name of that anime? Overrated romance anime. Toradora had her on there. You had characters from the Ra Side, I know Home and Needle, man. You had characters from that on there. And this was on a PS3 exclusive for the longest time, ladies and gentlemen. I love it, ladies and gentlemen. This game, although it was single player, but with the characters tagging in and out, so they basically had a tag team back again. Check in the red saying let's begin. Love Dengeki Banko. It's a crazy title now. Dengeki Banko Fighting Climax. That's the name of it. I kid you not. But it's an awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. Love this game. You like anime and you like fighting games combined together into one, I highly recommend you get this game. See, you can find it on PS3. I don't think they rebought this out on Steam, but I highly recommend you pick it up because this is an awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. I love this game. That's why it makes number 17 on this list. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 17 has to be Dengeki Banko Fighting Climax.
Round 2. Fight!
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 16 on my top 30 favorite fighting games of all time, 2026 edition, has to be Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this one holds a special place in my heart because shout out to my homie back in the day, Alex Collin, and I think it was Alex Collin. Danny might have been there with his guy, rest his soul, but we used to hang out at the arcade just back when I was in high school, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 had just came out. And we used to always look and see what the characters was going to unlock. If you did not know, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the arcade, it came, but the characters was not always unlocked. You know, each time the more and more you played the game, the more characters unlocked. And the character that was locked up, they was blacked out. So me and my friends, we used to sit up and say, "Oh, there go Ken, there go Wolverine, there go this person." We would just guess who the shadow characters is, and then eventually you kept playing the game. Eventually all the characters would come out. But this had a game doggone 52 roster of fighters. Wow! Now as Capcom did that now, ladies and gentlemen, you would be playing all type of DLC. You look at Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 got a whole ton of DLC. But back then, they weren't doing all that crazy DLC practices. They gave you 52 or 54 characters. That's a lot of characters. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Marvel vs. Capcom 2 had that tag team back again. Check in the rec, say let's begin. Let's get it. Man, awesome fighting game. Got a little sad memories of this because Sentinel. I can't stand Sentinel. Sentinel Cable. Oh, headaches on top of headaches, God. Anyways, but besides that, ladies and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is an awesome fighting game, good tag team fighter, one of the best fighters in the world. That's why it makes number 16 on this list. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 16 on this list has to be Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes. Right, ladies, coming in at number 15. Hold up. Number 15, we at the halfway point. Once again, thank you guys and girls for sticking with me for so long. Let's keep this party rolling. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 15 has to be Aquapazza. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know that's a unique title. It's a very unique title. But this is an anime fighter again. This one, you got all type of characters from different animes and mangas. You name it, probably not all of them in there, but a lot of them in there. In this fighting game, a lot of these characters I don't know because a lot of these animes I haven't watched yet. And what was so tight about this game, ladies and gentlemen, was the background stages. One of these stages you fight on the highway while it's raining. That's a fight called, I think, called an urban freeway. Then you fight in front of a mall. Then you fight at an anime convention, which is so tight. Then you fight at an anime concert. Just the background alone, fight in front of an anime school. Just the backgrounds alone make you want to play this game, man. This game was off the chain, ladies and gentlemen. Aquapazza, and then also was so tight about it, you had characters that, you know, it wasn't, you know, you couldn't play with them, but it was tag team back again, check in and red chain, let's begin. Tag them in and not in and out, but tag them in, they'll do little moves, then leave. But it was all awesome game. Aquapazza, love it, ladies. And I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, down in the comment section, you can get this game on Steam. If you have not picked up Aquapazza, ladies, because it was a PS3 exclusive, I highly recommend you pick up Aquapazza. You like fighting games, cute little anime girls, anime characters in your fighting games, I highly recommend you get this one. I love it. I got this game when it first came out, ladies and gentlemen. I think not first came out, but I think I got it on sale on Amazon a long time ago for like $20. It was worth the purchase. Love this game. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, at number 15 has to be Aquapazza.
Win!
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 14 has to be Under Night in Birth. Basically, the whole series, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to go with the first one, although you might not see the first one in the background. You probably see the second and third one. But still, I loved all the Underbite in Birth series. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Underbite in Birth is off the chain. They call this anime fighter, although I don't think the characters in there are from an anime. My favorite character on there was Hyde, and Hyde has some of the tightest music, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to Hyde music, ladies and gentlemen, get you so hype. Hyde music was off the chain on there. There's the whole soundtrack off the chain, ladies. And then, you know, there's the background music called Welcome to the Late Night, where you're just trying to pick your menu character. That's off the that whole soundtrack off the chain, ladies. That's why, because the soundtrack was so good, ladies, man, I saw a collector's edition of this game, one of the Under Night in Birth games on eBay. Somebody was selling it. And it was brand new in the box. I said, man, and it came with a soundtrack. I was like, man, sign me up. Give me that. Snagged it. I had to pick that one up, ladies and gentlemen, because the soundtrack off the chain. Love the soundtrack of this game, man. Fighting game, ladies and gentlemen. Type fighting game. I know this fighting game is kind of series kind of slept on, ladies and gentlemen. And Under Night, the new Under Night didn't do itself no favors coming out at the same time as another popular fighting game. That was stupid. They shot themselves in the foot with that, but that's neither here nor there. Still an awesome series, ladies and gentlemen. I highly recommend you play it, pick it up. Like anime, they call them anime fighters now. With type cartoon looking graphics, 2D looking graphics. This is your game, ladies and gentlemen. I highly recommend it. Give it a shot. If you haven't played Under Night in Birth, give it a shot. You be in for a good ride. Take it for a ride. Anyway, just playing. But coming in, ladies and gentlemen, at number, what we got? 14 has to be the Under Night in Birth whole series. Let's keep moving. Moving right along. Moving right along. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 13, this is slept on series too, has to be Nitro Plus Blaster, Heron's Infinite Duel. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, this is a tight fighting game. Long title, but this is actually a tight fighting game. Don't get me wrong, this game is all females, but the game got a lot of fan service. Look past the fan service though. What made me like this game so much, I saw my girl Saber from the Fate Stay Night series. She got the "This is Excalibur" move on there, and the moves look so amazing on this game. You got each one of these characters are from either an anime or a manga series. And they had your girl from Fate Stay Night, she was in there, and then you had Sonico. I forgot where she was from, but she was very popular in this game. All the characters are popular, but only one I really knew was Saber from Fate Stay Night, and because I had actually seen one or two of those series, because that storyline is so convoluted. You don't even try to make sense of that storyline, but Now, the fact they had Saber in there, that what made me buy it. And that big old Excalibur beam of her, this is Excalibur! Boy, guy looking at Saber doing that move and how hot she is made me so hype! Boy, love this game, slept on game. I think this game remained a PS4 exclusive. I can't remember if it came out on PC or not. But I highly recommend you pick this game up. If you catch it on sale somewhere, ladies and gentlemen, pick it up. You'll like it. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 13 has to be Nitro Plus Blaster, Heron's Infinite Doom.
お仕事ね。
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 12 has to be J-Star's Victory Versus Plus. Wow, now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a huge fan of anime, ladies and gentlemen, this is your game. I think this game got over 50-some anime characters in there. They got my boy Goku, Vegeta in here too, Naruto's in here too, Ronin Kenshin in this one. Let's see, that's all I can think of. Yu Yu Hakusho in this one. He ate all them in there, and not all the characters you can play, you know, off the bat, but some of them are assist partners. And even though you can't really fully play with them, but you can still pick them as an assist partner. That will make it so tight, ladies and gentlemen. This game is like a 2D arena based fighting game. This game would have got higher on this list, ladies and gentlemen. This game had, like, if it was another style of fighting game. Because I'm not a big fan of arena-based fighting game, but this game is so amazing because of all of the character roster. It's like a dream game of nothing but your favorite anime characters all bunched up into one fighting game. And it was all the same, ladies and gentlemen. I think I pre-ordered this at GameStop, I think. I can't remember if I did, but I'm pretty sure I did because it came with a little art book. And I still got the art book to this day, and I love this game, ladies and gentlemen. I literally had to stop myself from playing J-Star Victory Versus Plus because if I didn't, I wouldn't have played nothing else because you can play with all the different anime fighting game characters, on there, ladies and gentlemen. Goku, Vegeta, sign me up. Naruto, sign me up. I think Sasuke on here. Some of your favorite anime characters are in this game. And that's what makes this game so amazing. That's why it makes, let's see, number 12 on this list. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 12 has to be J-Star Victory Versus Plus. Let's keep moving. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 11 has to be Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. Wow, the ladies and Blaze Blue. I know I just talked about this recently. Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, ladies and gentlemen. Let me kind of go back over this. I know I said this before, but bear with me, y'all. Blaze Blue, I never was a big fan of the Blaze Blue games. Don't get me wrong, I ended up buying the majority of them, but I never could get into them because none of my moves would never work out with the Blaze Blue series. Shout out to my homie NATO-Matic and John, they got Blaze Blue. But I never could get into the Blaze Blue series because none of my moves would work for me. But they ended up making Blaze Blue Cross-Tag Battle where they added Blaze Blue characters, Persona 4 Arena characters in there. I think it was RWBY anime characters in there. Who else in there? On a Night in Birth characters in there. They had, it's like your dream roster number of your favorite fighting game characters all bunched up into one game, and I loved it, ladies and gentlemen. Only thing that what made this game, the gripe I had with this game was the DLC practices. Don't get me wrong, I think the game when it first came out was like $40-something, then they charged like $20-something for the DLC, and that was, I was like, man, y'all ridiculous with this. But I ended up breaking down. Don't get me wrong, I couldn't stand on my principles on this because I love the game so much. I ended up breaking down and buying majority of the DLC characters. I think there's maybe 4 or 5 characters I do not have. But I had to buy all the DLC characters, ladies and gentlemen, because I love the game too much. I love playing it. My team was Hyde and the guy from Persona 4 Arena, the main protagonist guy. Them two were my favorite characters. I used to play with them all the time. Used to get my butt handed to me, but I gave as much as I got. I ain't just get beat down all the time, but I did fight back. You know what I'm saying? And Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle Legend off the chain, it had that tag team back again. Check interaction, let's begin. I know y'all getting tired of that. I'm gonna try to leave it alone after this. But yeah, so coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 11 has to be Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're pretty awesome.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep this party rolling. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 10 has to be Capcom versus SNK 2. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, Capcom versus SNK 2 took what the first Capcom versus SNK did and added to it. If it wasn't broke, they didn't try to fix it. They added to it. And this was one of my favorite fighting games. That's why it makes number 10 on this list. Yeah, 10 on this list because it had a whole slew of number of SNK characters and Capcom characters. Had Maki. Oh, she was actually from Capcom. You had Ko Kusanagi, Chun-Li. I think Cammy on this game. I don't think Cammy was on this game. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section. Here. Morgan, Sakura, Yuri, a bunch of hot SNK and Capcom fighting game female characters, and then you had Ken, my boy Ken, Ryu, who else? You had Hamaru on here. Most of your SNK characters you can think of that was in this game. Most of your Capcom fighting game characters you can think of that was in this game, ladies and gentlemen. This was like a dream game. It was off the chain, ladies and gentlemen. One-on-one, but you pick 3 characters, but each time you lose, the other characters jump in there. So it wasn't really a tag team back again. It was like a one-on-one fighter. You just pick 3 characters and you go through the whole storyline mode of the game. And it was all the chain, ladies and love this game. Even had a rival school character in there. I think Kyosuke, I think that's his name. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the conversation, but had a whole bunch of characters in there. Even Last Blade character in there. I forgot the girl's name, but she was in this game too. I had a whole slew of characters, ladies and gentlemen. I never did get into all the characters, but I think Gal and them was on here. But there was a lot of Capcom and SNK characters in this game. And Awesome, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not played Capcom vs. SNK 2, I highly recommend you to pick up the PS4 version or Switch version, either PC version, but you want a physical copy, get a PS4 or Switch version. And they got Capcom Fighting Collection 2. It's got this game on there, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big highlight to the collection that you get. And it's off the chain, ladies. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 10 has to be Capcom vs. SNK 2.
Live and let die. Fight! Power away! Crack shoot! They come out with the peak in the profit. Are you okay? Power away! Power away! Crack shoot! Power away! Are you okay? Crack shoot! Go for broke! Fight! Crack shoot! Crack!
Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 9 has to be Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it gets this list, ladies and gentlemen, because Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was the first one I played, kind of grew on me. At first, me and my brother, shouts out to my younger brother, Torn, we didn't like the game at first. We was all on Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We was like, man, this game too simple. We don't like this. But eventually, me and my brother kept playing it. We kept on playing, kept on playing, kept on playing. Then eventually, this game kind of grew on us, ladies and gentlemen. And we love Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Then they made Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 where they added 12 more characters. And, you know, we was in heaven. And I think they added Strider, Nova, and a couple of more. I can't remember all of them, but this game was off the chain, ladies and gentlemen. To this day, this game is still in fighting game tournaments to this day. A lot of people still play Marvel. It's Marvel, baby. They call it just Marvel because it gets that crazy and weird. It's like controlled chaos. It's just a awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. Tag team back again. Check in the Rex and let's we thought I wasn't gonna do it, but I lied to y'all anyway. Awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. Love Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This game came out on PS3 and 360. Then it came out on Xbox One and PS4 also, and the PC. Awesome game, awesome fine game to get, ladies and gentlemen. Get in your collection. It's regularly available out there, but as far as physical versions out there, you can't really get too many physical versions, but you can get a digital version of it on your PS4 or your Xbox One, and you can get it on your PC. So ain't no excuse. Pick up Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I highly recommend you get it. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number, what we got, 9? That's to be Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Win! My thanks to you, Mother Nature.
Get ready for the fight of your life.
I'm starting all. What do you say? It's do or die. Fight! First attack! Air combo! Cool!
Ready or not? Hi-ya!
Danger! Down! Crossover! Air combo! Good! Crossover! Air combo!
Damn!
Danger!
Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, at number 8 has to be KI2, also known as Killer Instinct 2. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Killer Instinct 2 makes this list so high because this was the game that I remember, one of my nostalgia reasons, favorite childhood memory, when my mom and dad, they took us to the casino down, not to gamble, y'all. Calm down in the comment section. Took us to the casino for a vacation, and then at the vacation, while my mom and dad, you know, they went to the casino. Me and my two brothers, we got to go to, I actually got to go to the teen arcade, ladies and gentlemen, because I was a teenager at the time. My younger brothers, they was younger than me, so they couldn't go to teen arcade. They were the Kids Quest, where they played around and got burned off a lot of energy. But me, I was in heaven because they had arcade just for number of us teens, and they had all type of games in there. Killer Instinct 2 was in there, Killer Instinct 1, Xbox Street Fighter. Every fighting game you could think of was in this arcade, ladies and I was in heaven. I'm in heaven, heaven. Boy, I thought I was in heaven. See, that's one thing about my mom and dad. When they knew they put me in an arcade, they knew they had to worry about me running off nowhere, because I didn't do that anyways, because I love my parents. But they had to worry about me running off because I stayed in the arcade. Because if they left the arcade that morning and came back that afternoon, they would see me, because I love the arcade, ladies and gentlemen. One of my favorite things, and that's why I got most of my practice in on Killer Instinct 2. And this is an awesome fighting game, ladies and gentlemen. One of my favorite fighting games of all time. The way I makes number 8 on this list. Jago, Orchid, Ultra Tech, the whole fighting game storyline. But it's awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Highly recommend you get it. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 8 has to be Killer Instinct 2, or KI2. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 7 has to be Dragon Ball FighterZ. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I played a lot of Dragon Ball fighting games in my life, and there was always that arena type fighting game. But this was the first time ever where you saw Dragon Ball characters in a Marvel vs. Capcom style fighting game. This game is basically Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Had a baby with Dragon Ball characters, and there you have it. Arc System Works helped make it. This game is off the chain. You can play with Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, Frieza, Lord Beers, Majin Buu, who else? All type of characters. Most of the Dragon Ball characters you think of, you name it, they probably in this game, ladies and gentlemen. This game is off the chain. Love it. I put a lot of time into this game. At first, you know, they had them crazy DLC practices that Bandai Namco, just any fighting game company does nowadays. And at first I wasn't going to break down, but when I kept playing the fighting game Dragon Ball FighterZ, I just broke down, ladies and gentlemen, and went ahead and bought all the DLC for the fighting game characters. I think I got all of them. Season 1, Season 2, I got all the characters basically. And it's an awesome fighting game, ladies and gentlemen. I wish they would make a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2, but they probably won't. They probably just keep adding DLC on top of DLC, and it's one of the best fighting games of all time, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it makes number 7 on this list. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 7 on my top 30 fighting games of all time has to be Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Deal with me. Take that! Take that! I got you! You're going down! I got Oh no! Coming! You're going down! I got you!
Hope you're ready! Are you brave enough to take this one? That was a feeble effort. Are you
really my son or not?
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, at number 6 has to be Street Fighter 2. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what got me into fighting games, that's why it makes number 6 on this list, is Street Fighter 2, ladies and gentlemen. I never will forget the first fighting game I ever played in my life was Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo. I remember shouts out to my 2 younger brothers, twin brothers, Torn and Anthony. I remember we stayed up all night, all night long, all night playing Street Fighter 2, ladies. We didn't know how to do the moves, but we was pressing the buttons so hard on there. We had blisters on our thumbs. I remember we was like, Dad, man, what's this on our thumb? He said, man, that's just blisters. Y'all pressing the controls too hard. Eventually, your thumbs will heal. You just stop pressing the controls so hard. But we didn't care, ladies. We was young and we just enjoying a good fighting game. I never will forget. We used to be pressing things. Next thing you know, Ken will do a Hadouken, and then Ryu do a Hadouken. Want to fight that boogie? I mean, yoga, playing. And Chun-Li with her lightning kicks. What? Man, great memories. That's why it makes number 6 on this list, ladies, because if it wasn't for Street Fighter 2, the OG Street Fighter 2, I would have never got into fighting games. So this is basically my introduction into fighting games. That's why it makes number 6 on this list. Nothing else can be said about Street Fighter 2. Basically, when you think about fighting games, first thing people go to, you mean Street Fighter? Yeah, basically, Street Fighter makes all this stuff possible. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 6 has to be Street Fighter 2 SNES version. Let's keep moving. Moving right along. Moving right along.
Round 1, fight! Hadouken! 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 Shoryuken! Round 2, fight! Hadouken!
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost there, ladies and gentlemen. Just 5 more to go. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 5, late entry. Not really late entry, but I had to remake this one. Has to be Tekken 8. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all think Tekken 8, Double Dragon out of all these fighting games out there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Tekken 8 is one of the best looking fighting games I've ever seen in my life. I've seen a lot of great looking fighting games, and Tekken 8 just takes the cake, ladies and gentlemen. Like I tell y'all on my channel, I am not a graphics head, never claimed to be, never will be, but Tekken 8 is the best looking game, period, on PS5. Now, PS5 has a lot of, exclusives out there and a lot of different games out there, but the one out of all the games I done seen, because I own a lot of PS5 games I own, out of all the games I've seen, Tekken 8 is the best looking PS5 game of all time, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, Tekken 8 is a third-party company. Bandai Namco, or used to be Namco. Bandai Namco made this game, and they make the game look better than anything that Sony has ever put out there, in my opinion. Yeah, that's right. I said it, and I mean it. Sony don't put out a lot of different first-party titles out there on PS5. They look okay, but they don't have nothing on Tekken 8. And Tekken 8 is an amazing looking fighting game. The game comes equipped with 32 different characters off the bat. You don't even have to buy no DLC unless you want to. I buy the DLC because I'm a huge Tekken fan, and I love the online to this game. You don't have to pay an arm and a leg to get DLC costumes. They give you free costumes you can get, and the more and more you play your game online and more you play arcade mode, it unlocks different costumes you can just get with your fight money. Oh man, they put a lot into Tekken. And then you got your DLC characters, you got to pay for them, of course, but still you got Eddie, who else we got, Clive from Devil May Cry 16 or Final Fantasy 16, y'all like to call it. and Anna. You got all type of characters. Got my girl Alicia, my wifey Lisa on there. June's hot mama Oscar Hart, Nina Hart, Jen, Kazuya. Well, storyline kind of messed up because he hatched it, but still. Look past the story, you got all type of modes that just come out the box for this game. This is an awesome looking game. Not only does it look awesome, but it plays awesome. Anybody can play this game. Don't let them fool you. They love to get mad at this game, talking, it's too aggressive, blah blah blah. Boy, you better learn to block. Get better, get gone. Shout out to my youngest brother. Get better, get gone. Learn this game. It is off the chain. That's why it makes number 5 on this list, ladies and gentlemen. Most time I don't put new fighting games up on this list, but I had to put it up there, ladies and gentlemen. Tekken 8, I play it all the time. It's the reason why I still have PlayStation Plus, because I bought Tekken 8 on PlayStation, and you know I got the physical version of it. That's why the reason why I still buy PlayStation Plus, just because I can still play. Unfortunately, to play online with PlayStation, you got to play out PlayStation Plus, and I keep it because I love playing Tekken 8 online on my PlayStation because I like that physical media. But it's an awesome game, Tekken 8, off the chain, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing else can be said. I don't say too much about it. So coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 5 has to be Tekken 8.
やりました。強かったんです。アリサです。よろしくお願いします。ありがとうございます。Fight. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 4 has to be the King of Fighters 2000. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why I like King of Fighters 2000 so much? This was the first, not the first game, but the second game in the awesome NES saga. You know, King of Fighters has an awesome storyline, ladies and gentlemen. They actually put thought and a thought process in the storylines when it comes to fighting games. And this is the second year of the NES saga. The NES saga, if you did not know, was when after the whole Orochi saga went down, NES saga, this terrorist organization that kidnapped Ko Kusanagi, did all kind of crazy stuff to him, and they trying to take over the world, and you fighting against NES. And this is the second year, ladies and gentlemen. And this was the second year in KOF where they basically took the striker system and perfected it. Now on the KOF 2000 on the PS2 version, I can't speak on any other version, they give you what they give you strikers. And you did not know a striker is like the 4th person in your party. Say you pick the art of fighting team, and it's like let me see, Robert, Ryo, Yuri, and Takuma. You made Takuma your striker, Takuma will be your striker. But on the PS2 version, you didn't have to make Takuma your striker. You could have what they call guest strikers. Instead of having King from Art of Fighting as your striker, you have King Lion from Kazuna Encounter, or you have Hamaru from Samurai Showdown. He'll be a striker. All different type of SNK characters was guest strikers in this game, and you can unlock them. And that what made it so tight, ladies, because so you never know who will hop in there and help you. And me and my brother, shout out to my second youngest brother, we used to put it on infinite strikers. We used to have all type of strikers going in and out, and we had your super move maxed out. It was just a fun way to play the game, ladies and man. KOF 2000. If you got the PS2 version, it came with KOF 2000 and 2001. Now, don't get me wrong, 2001 is great. I love the KOF series. None of them are no slouch. But if I had to pick one of my favorites, it would have to be KOF 2000. That's why it makes number 4 on this list. And I love KOF 2000, the PS2 version mainly. But I would play the arcade version too. Music good too. Great fighting game. Loved KOF 2000. That's why it makes number 4 on this list. Of course. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 4 has to be KOF 2000.
Round 3, fight!
Are you ready?
Round 4, fight!
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're down to the last 3. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys and girls for sticking with me for so long. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 3 has to be KOF 95. Wow. Now, KOF 95, ladies and gentlemen, makes this list mainly not purely, but mainly off of nostalgia. KOF was the first fight KOF game I ever played, and that intro, especially the PlayStation intro, is off the chain, ladies and gentlemen. Do 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 bum 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 do 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 do. That music for KOF 95, the arranged version, is off the chain. It gets me so hype. Love it, ladies and gentlemen. First got this game on PlayStation 1. This was one of the first games that shout out to Daddy Mac. He bought us for Christmas, and love this game, ladies and gentlemen. One of the stages on this game all the chain too. One of the stages on there, you fight in front of the Japanese mall, then you fight at the dojo of the Art of Fighting team, then you fight at the temple, at the Grand Gun. Man, all the stages on this game is off the chain, ladies and gentlemen. There's just certain specific stages I like. They got the great music. Then, with the women's team, you fight at a nightclub. I think that's King's nightclub. We're gonna have a party to go to tonight. Alright. The whole soundtrack for KOF 95 off the chain, the range version. Every one of them is a banger. But love this soundtrack. The soundtrack good. The fighting game good. This was before they destroyed the Art of Fighting team. After this game, KOF 95, they destroyed the Art of Fighting team. Art of Fighting team couldn't even throw fireballs across the screen no more. They couldn't do their moves right. They just butchered them. I don't know why they hate the Art of Fighting team so much. I don't get it. But after 95, they just butchered them. But 95 and 94, because I played some 94, they had the KOF team right. Not the KOF team, I'm tripping. Art of Fighting team right. But after 95, they just went all downhill, which sucked. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I love the KOF 95 game. I love the PlayStation game. I know it has its load times, but I ain't got no problem with load time. I just sat there, waited, got ready to fight, ladies and gentlemen. It was off the chain. Love this game. Love it. That's why I made number 3 on this list. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 3 has to be KOF 95. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 2 has to be Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is like the dark horse of the whole versus series. It don't get much flack, gets much credit, because it gets a lot of flack because it came right after X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And basically, the backgrounds are like darker versions of X-Men vs. Street Fighter, because it came out so quick, ladies and gentlemen. They had to do a quick turnaround. Like, one of the stages, like nighttime at the first stage on X-Men vs. Street Fighter, although it didn't have the stages, one number like a color palette swap of the X-Men vs. Street Fighter. I love this game, ladies and gentlemen. You had secret characters on here too. You had Dark Sakura, Armor, Spider-Man, some more secret characters you had on here, and it was so tight, ladies and gentlemen, because you had Sakura was on this game, Ken, Ryu, Akuma. You could play with Cyber Akuma on here. On the version you can play with him on, I think it was the PlayStation 1 version, because it was, they had to do some crazy stuff to get this switch out because of RAM issues. But Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, I love this game. I used to go to up there to a mall up north from where I'm from, and I played it all the time. And not one too many people in the arcade during the daytime, and during like the morning time, I used to go in there, play, give me some quarters, and just sit down and play. And I loved it, ladies and gentlemen. Sakura, Ken, Ryu. I think Chun-Li was on this game. Omega Red. Who else we had? Spider-Man, Captain America. Man, awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. It was just 2-on-2, but it still, and it always holds a special place in my heart, ladies and gentlemen. All those times I used to go up to the arcade up north and just sit down and play me some Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. The last bosses on this game was Cyber Akuma and the Apocalypse. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, awesome game. That's why it makes number 2 on this list. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, number 2 on my top 30 favorite fighting games of all time has to be Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. That announced off the chain too.
Ready, fight!
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we finally here. And my number 1 favorite fighting game of my top 30 fighting games of all time is... This is X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, X-Men vs. Street Fighter will always hold a special place in my heart, ladies and gentlemen. It was the first game, not the first game, but the third game, technically, you want to go by. The other ones, even though they're not Versus series. First game, technically, in the Versus series that I've ever played. I first played it, I remember I used to play it at the arcade where I'm from. Then we used to have what they call lock-ins. People pay like $5 or $10. They used to be able to stay overnight, a few extra hours overnight, ladies and gentlemen. Played the X-Men vs. Street Fighter. I used to play with Ken and Ryu, and Ken and Ryu used to have this move where Ryu would do his big old beam Hadouken, and Ken come on top of it, add more to the beam, make it green Hadouken. And them two used to do a Ciclo Hadouken together, and everybody had tag teams back again. check in the Rex and let's begin. It's common theme in my stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I love tag team fighters, but they should come together and do different special moves. I remember Rogue, she had a move where basically when she kiss you, she still they fire move, they special move. But she kiss Ken, she get the dragon punch. She kiss Ryu, she get she could throw a fireball across the screen. But that was so unique. And who else was on the game? Cammy, Chun-Li, first time you had Rogue, I just got to talk about Rogue. She hard too. And who else you had on this game? Sabretooth, Storm, hard. All type of characters, ladies and gentlemen. But this is where it started, ladies and gentlemen. When it came to Versus game, this is where it started, ladies and gentlemen. And then last boss on this one was Apocalypse. And of course, at the end, you had to fight your tag, your partner. Whoever you were teaming with, like say I was doing Ken and Ryu, and I beat the game with Ken, I had to fight Ryu in order to see the ending, because they did a double dragon approach on that. But ladies and gentlemen, this is an awesome fighting game. If you want to play these versus games, best thing to get them is on that Marvel vs. Capcom Arcade Classic. I think it's Marvel vs. Capcom Arcade Classic, something like that. Just type in Marvel vs. Capcom, you can go find it. You get to a physical version, pick it up on PS4 and Nintendo Switch. This is the physical version. But I highly recommend you get this game. This is where it started. We didn't have this game, you wouldn't have Marvel vs. Capcom 2. You wouldn't have Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You wouldn't have Marvel vs. Capcom. You wouldn't have all those games if it wasn't for this game. And it still holds a special place in my heart for all the countless times I played it. And countless times I played on lock-ins. And ladies and gentlemen, I even used to have the PlayStation 1 version of it. I don't have it no more. I even bought the Saturn version of the import exclusive. The Saturn version they had where you can tag in and out. But the PlayStation version, you couldn't tag in and out. You had to pick the same characters. And me and my brothers discovered that you could do that a long time ago before anybody recognized that's a code. Then again, might not been the first. We just been the first one of many. You know what I'm saying? We just had figured it out. But that neither here nor there. An awesome game, ladies and gentlemen. Still to this day, my favorite fighting game of all time is the first Street Fighter. After all these years, it's still number one. Got the number one spot. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen, for this rendition of my top 30 fighting games of all time. Leave comments below, ladies and gentlemen, some of your favorite fighting games of all time. Love to know down below. Thank you guys and girls so much for watching. Stay tuned for more great videos like this on the way. Double Dragon 912 signing out. Peace out.
Round 3, fight!
Hadouken!